There's an audio file that drives people insane. I listened to it by accident. Now I hear it, even when it's not playing. I do audio restoration for a living. Podcasts, interviews, tapes from the 90s. If it's garbled or full of static, people send it to me to clean up. It's a solitary job. Long nights, headphones on, screen glowing in the dark. About a month ago, I received a file labeled only untitled 666.wave. No sender name, no invoice. Just a WeTransfer link and a subject line that said, "Make it clear. You'll understand why." Normally, I wouldn't touch something like that, but I was curious. The file was a mess. Constant hissing, distortion, what sounded like reversed speech under a layer of white noise. I isolated the background, filtered it, boosted the vocal frequencies. That's when I heard the voice. It whispered something. Words I couldn't understand at first. They weren't in English, not even a language I recognized. But they had rhythm, cadence, like a prayer. I kept looping it, slowing it down, pitch shifting it. Each time I listened, I felt worse, nauseous, cold, like something was crawling under my skin. But I couldn't stop. The more I cleaned the file, the clearer the voice became. And then it said my name. Marcus. Just once. Calm. Loving. Like it had always known me. I tore off the headphones and vomited. I deleted the file, emptied the trash, disconnected the drive. Didn't matter. That night, I heard the voice again, coming from inside the walls. Soft, repeating the same sequence of gibberish. Then, "Marcus, let me in." I stopped sleeping. The next morning, I checked the backup system I used to save client files. That audio file was there again. Same name, same timestamp, but this time, it was over 3 hours long. I never made it past the 2-minute mark the first time. I opened the waveform. It was perfect. No static, no distortion, just one continuous tone. Like breathing. I started getting nosebleeds. I started seeing things. Shadows moving behind me in reflections. People staring too long on the street. Once, I picked up the phone to call for help, and the voice answered before I dialed. "You already let me in." Now, no matter what device I use, the file shows up. My phone, my tablet, even on Bluetooth speakers that aren't connected to anything. I went to a doctor. He ran tests. Said my auditory cortex was showing signs of overstimulation. Like it had been reprogrammed to expect certain frequencies. He played a tone during the exam. It matched part of the file. I screamed. Haven't been back since. I've tried everything. Deleted all backups, burned the hard drive, moved to a new apartment. But still, every night, just as I start to fall asleep, I hear it. That same voice. That same wordless chant. Growing louder, more real. more alive. I'm not sure what I unlocked, but I think it's still buffering. Still loading. And when it finishes, I don't think I'll be the one listening anymore.
My neighbors invited me to a community gathering. It turned out to be a cult, and they don't let people leave. I moved to Wren's Hollow 6 months ago. It's a small town, no traffic lights, no crime, just rolling hills, clean air, and neighbors who bake you pies for no reason. It felt like a perfect place to start over. The house was cheap, too cheap. But I didn't ask questions, I just wanted peace. My first week there, I got a handwritten note slipped under my door. "Welcome to the Hollow. Please join us for the full moon gathering this Friday." It was signed, The Neighbors. I thought it was cute. Small town charm, you know? That Friday, just after sunset, I walked down the dirt path to a large barn at the edge of the woods. Strings of lights hung from the beams. People were smiling, holding mugs of cider, chatting like it was a family reunion. Then I noticed something odd. Everyone wore the same color, gray. Not a shade close to gray, the exact same tone. I was the only one in different clothes. I laughed and said, "Guess I missed the dress code." They didn't laugh back, just smiled wider. One of them, a man named Ruthven, put a hand on my shoulder and said, "You'll wear gray soon enough." That night, they served stew, delicious but thick, almost metallic. During the meal, a woman stood and began reciting something in another language. Everyone bowed their heads. I didn't. I just watched. At the end, they all said in unison, "We thank the soil, we thank the bone, we thank the one below." I laughed nervously. No one else did. When I got home, there was another note waiting on my bed. "We saw you watching. That is good. Keep watching." I tried to ignore it, told myself I was overthinking things. But the next full moon, they knocked on my door, all of them, in gray robes, smiling. They said, "It was time for your second welcome." Before I could protest, Ruthven said, "It's your turn to carry the blade." They brought me back to the barn, again. Only this time it was different. No lights, no cider, just torches and a stone slab in the center of the room. Something was lying on it, wrapped in cloth, still breathing. I turned to leave. Ruthven blocked the door. "You accepted the invitation. You ate the body. Now you must seal the pact." I ran. Through the woods, through the dark. They didn't chase me. They didn't have to. Because the next morning, every mirror in my house was covered in ash. And carved into the wood above my door was a symbol, a circle of teeth. I packed that night, drove until I ran out of gas. But no matter where I stop, No matter what hotel I check into, someone always knocks at the door at midnight and says, "We thank the soil, we thank the bone, we thank the one below, and now he thanks you."
In the forest, we heard whispers. The others followed them. I was the only one who came back. It was meant to be a 4-day hike. Just me and 3 old friends, Adam, Mark, and Danny. We'd done dozens of trails together, but this one was special, remote, untouched, an old route through a stretch of forest that wasn't even marked on recent maps. Locals called it the Hollow Pines. Adam found it on a forum for abandoned trails. There were warnings in the comments. Don't go after dark. Watch what you listen to. The trees echo more than they should. We laughed them off. The first day was fine. We followed the stream, crossed through dense pines, and made camp before sunset. But that night, we heard something strange. Voices. Faint. Soft. Not quite words. Almost like singing. But not in any language I knew. Mark said it was the wind, but there was no wind. The air was still, dead. The trees didn't move, the fire didn't flicker, and yet the sound circled our camp like something moving just beyond the light. The second day, we found ribbons tied to branches. They weren't new, faded, torn. All the same pale gray, fluttering even though the air was still. Each one had something written on it. Names. Some first names, some initials, some scratched out. Danny said it was probably a memorial. But that night, the voices came back. Clearer. They sounded like people we knew. I swear I heard my mother. She's been dead 6 years. She said my name. "Jason, come here." I didn't move, but Adam did. He stood up like he was sleepwalking, eyes open but blank. He walked toward the trees. I grabbed his arm. He fought me, said he had to go, that someone needed him, that she was calling. Mark and Danny helped hold him back until he calmed down, but he wouldn't speak the rest of the night. The third day, we tried to leave. The trail was gone. Completely. We followed the GPS, the compass. Nothing matched. No landmarks, no signs, just trees. Identical. Endless. That night, Danny vanished. No scream, no struggle. Just her boots at the edge of the firelight and whispers fading into the distance. We called her name for hours. Then Mark started hearing things too. He said he heard Danny, said she was calling to him, begging for help. He ran before I could stop him. I followed, flashlight shaking in my hand. But the deeper I went, the quieter everything got, until there was nothing but breath. Not mine, something else, right behind me. I turned. Nothing. But when I turned back around, I saw them. All 3, standing between the trees. Danny, Mark, Adam, smiling. But their mouths didn't move when they spoke. "Jason, stay with us." Their eyes were black, empty, like something else was using their bodies. I ran, didn't stop until the sun rose. Somehow I found a road, collapsed at the feet of a man in a pickup truck who nearly crashed trying to avoid me. They searched the forest for weeks, found our campsite, the ribbons, and a tree with 4 names carved into the bark. The first 3 were Adam, Mark, and Danny. The 4th
was mine, already carved, waiting.
We went camping deep in the forest. The red-eyed thing started following us on the second night. There were 5 of us: me, Ryan, Liz, Manny, and Jenna. College friends. We hadn't seen each other in years, so we decided to reconnect with a weekend in the wilderness. Off-grid, no cell signal, no distractions. Just a remote trail deep in the Appalachians, a tent each, and whatever gear we could carry on our backs. The first day was perfect. Clear skies, fresh air, a hidden clearing near a creek with soft moss and no signs of people. We built a fire, caught up over beers, laughed about old times. It felt good. That was the last normal night. On the second evening, we found tracks. Not boots, not animal. Long, deep impressions in the dirt, like someone had walked barefoot, dragging the tips of their toes. Liz said it was probably a bear. Ryan joked it was Bigfoot, but Jenna looked uneasy. That night, we heard branches snapping just beyond the tree line, then a low, guttural sound, like something trying to imitate a growl but failing. We turned off the fire and sat in silence. The woods went quiet. Too quiet. You don't realize how many sounds a forest normally makes until it suddenly stops. Eventually, we slept. In the morning, Manny was gone. His tent was still zipped, his pack still there, but no sign of him. We searched all day, shouted his name until our voices cracked, found nothing but more tracks, deeper now, heavier, and always leading away from camp into the thickest part of the forest. We should have left, but Liz insisted we stay. If Manny comes back and we're gone, he'll be lost, she said. That night, I couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., I saw something standing between the trees. Tall, thin, wrong. Its arms reached past its knees. Its skin was grayish, like bark soaked in water. And its eyes glowed red. Not like light reflecting, but like something burning inside its skull. It didn't move, just watched. I blinked and it was gone. I didn't say anything to the others. In the morning, Jenna was missing. Her tent unzipped, her flashlight lying in the moss, still warm. We left that afternoon. No more debate. We packed fast and hiked back toward the trailhead. But the forest seemed different. Like the paths had shifted. Trees looked familiar, but too close together, like the woods were folding in on us. That night it rained, hard. We didn't bother setting up tents, just wrapped ourselves in tarps and huddled under a ridge. I didn't sleep. Around midnight, I heard something breathing just behind me, wet, deep, hungry. When I turned, Ryan was gone, and standing where he had been was the thing. Closer now, its eyes brighter, its mouth open, too wide, filled with rows of teeth that didn't belong to any animal. It whispered something. One word. Closer. I ran. Didn't stop. Didn't care if Liz followed. I stumbled through the dark for hours until I saw lights, headlamps. A search team had been looking for us. I was dehydrated, shaking, rambling about something in the trees. They found Liz's body 3 days later, face frozen in a silent scream. Her eyes, missing. They never found the others. The rangers said it was a bear, or exposure, or panic. But they never explained the claw marks on the trees, or why every photo on my phone from that trip showed red lights between the trees. Like eyes, watching, still waiting.
Something is killing us, one by one. We can't see it. We can only hear it breathe. There were 6 of us in the cabin. A reunion trip, old college friends. Far from the city, no signal, no neighbors. Just trees, snow, silence. The first night was perfect. Drinks, laughs, board games. The second night, Sam went missing. We searched for hours. His boots were still by the fire, jacket untouched, no footprints in the snow outside, like he'd just dissolved. That night, we heard it, a breathing sound, low, slow, almost mechanical. We thought it was the wind, until it moved from one end of the house to the other. No footsteps, no shadows, just that breath, like it was circling us. The next day, Ellie started acting strange. She wouldn't speak, just stared at the wall, muttering, "It skipped me last time. It won't again." We thought she was in shock, but that night, she was gone too. No noise, no struggle, just missing. We barricaded the doors, windows, even the chimney. We kept watch in shifts. It didn't matter. That breathing never stopped. It would pause, then start again from a different direction, like it was right behind us, always behind us. We tried leaving the cabin. Didn't get far. Jamie screamed, fell to the ground. His nose started bleeding, then his eyes. Then his mouth opened too wide, like his jaw dislocated on its own. He went silent, gone. We dragged his body back, but by morning, it was missing. Only his clothes remained. No blood, just heat. The wood floor was warm where his body had been. Now there's only two of us, me and Laura. We've stopped talking. Every sound feels like an invitation. We communicate by writing now, because the last time Laura spoke aloud, the breathing got louder, closer. She wrote on her notebook, "It hears us. It only takes those it hears." We've unplugged everything. No electronics, no music, no whispers. But I made a mistake. I cried last night. Just once. A sob I couldn't hold back. This morning, Laura is gone. And the breathing is everywhere. I'm writing this in a journal I'll leave on the porch, in case anyone finds it, because now the breathing has stopped. And I know what that means. It's not circling anymore. It's in the room, right behind me.
Something lives under my bed. It only moves when the lights go out. I'm 28 years old. I don't scare easy. But I sleep with the lights on now, every night, because I know what happens when I don't. It started when I moved into this basement apartment. Cheap rent, quiet neighborhood. The place was a bit musty, but nothing a few candles couldn't fix. I furnished it light, a bed, a desk, a lamp. The first week was uneventful, but then I began waking up at exactly 3:09 a.m. every night, always with the same sensation, being watched. I'd stare at the ceiling, heart racing, but there was nothing in the room. One night, I leaned over the bed and looked underneath. Nothing. Just darkness and a dusty floor. But when I sat back up, I heard something shift. A soft scratch, like nails on wood. It came from directly beneath me. I got up, turned the lights on,
Checked again. Empty. I told myself it was the building settling, rats, pipes, anything logical. But the next night, I woke up again. 3:09 a.m. And this time, I didn't move. I just listened. There was breathing under the bed. Not fast, not human. Long, wet, slow. Like something with lungs it shouldn't have. I slept on the couch after that. But the next night, I heard a knock from my bedroom. Soft, measured, coming from beneath the bed. 3 knocks, pause, 3 more. I didn't go in. I didn't sleep at all. I went to stay at a friend's place for a few nights. No knocking, no breathing. I thought I had imagined the whole thing. But when I came back to grab a few things, I found a note on my pillow. A crumpled scrap of notebook paper in my handwriting. But I didn't write it. It said, "Stay still next time." It was almost done crawling out. That night, I stayed up with a camera pointing at the bed. I turned off the lights, sat silently in the corner. At exactly 3:09, the footage showed my bed slowly sinking, like weight was being added from below. Then something long and thin, a hand, slid out from under the frame, black, too many joints. It touched the floor, paused, then dragged itself back under. I left the apartment that night, but every few days, I wake up at 3:09 again, even in hotels, even in my parents' house. And now, I keep finding scratches under every bed I sleep in, deep, claw-like, perfectly centered, like something's trying to remind me, I followed you.
We tried to perform a ritual we found online. It worked, but not in the way we wanted. It started as a joke. Me, Darren, Kayla, and Sean. We were bored college kids crashing in an abandoned farmhouse for the weekend. No Wi-Fi, no power. Just beer, candles, and a half-dead Bluetooth speaker. Sean found the ritual in some obscure forum called Black Script Archives. It was called the Mouthless Prayer. Sounded edgy, mysterious, just the right amount of fake. The rules were simple. Light 7 black candles in a perfect circle. At midnight, everyone must sit silently. No one may speak, even if something speaks to you. One person must whisper the invocation into a bowl of water. If done correctly, the water will reflect what's listening. Darren laughed. What's it gonna show? Satan taking a shower? But Kayla was intrigued. She always liked creepy stuff. Tarot, ghost stories, abandoned buildings. So we did it. Set up the candles in the barn. Drew the circle with chalk. Used the speaker to play static just for atmosphere. At exactly 12, we shut off the light and sat in total silence. Kayla did the whispering. She leaned over the bowl and murmured something in a language none of us knew. The barn got cold, like immediately cold. Our breath fogged up, and then the water started to ripple. We didn't touch it. No wind, no movement. Just perfect little waves, like something was swimming under it. That's when Sean laughed.
He said, "Okay, enough of this." Boom! The speaker exploded. The static became a voice. Not from the speaker, from everywhere. It sounded like a child whispering through broken glass. Who spoke first? We all froze. The rule: no one was supposed to speak. But Sean had just broken the silence. The air vibrated. Something stepped into the circle. We couldn't see it, but we felt it. Each step made our bones ache. Sean started to convulse. His lips turned blue. And then they vanished. Not just shut, gone. As if his mouth had been erased from existence. He clawed at his face, wheezing through his nose, eyes wide with horror. The candles flickered backwards, the flames bending inward instead of out. I tried to run, but I couldn't move. Kayla screamed silently. Darren grabbed my arm and mouthed, "Don't talk." We didn't. Sean dropped to the floor, still gasping. The bowl of water boiled, then cracked. Inside it, I saw something. Not a face, not a body, just teeth. Rows and rows of them, floating in the blackness, snapping open and shut. The voice returned. A mouth was offered. A voice was freed. The flames died. The cold vanished. And it was over. We got Sean to a hospital. They couldn't explain it. Said it was psychological trauma, self-inflicted damage. But he still can't speak. He has no lips, no tongue, not even scars, just skin. Kayla never talks about that night. Darren hasn't returned any of my texts in weeks. But 2 nights ago, I woke up with water on the floor beside my bed. In it, I saw ripples, and I swear, I heard something whisper, "You're next."
After I moved an old mirror into my apartment, something started watching me from inside the glass. I moved into a small apartment above a closed-down flower shop last winter. It was cheap, barely furnished, and had this musty smell like old wallpaper and rain-soaked books, but it was mine. The place came with a few leftover items: an old wooden chair, a cracked lamp, and a massive antique mirror leaning against the living room wall. It was beautiful, in a Gothic kind of way. Ornate gold frame, tall as me, and heavy enough that I couldn't move it alone. I assumed it had belonged to the last tenant, so I left it where it was. Until one night, I don't know why, I decided to hang it up. I mounted it in the hallway, directly across from my bedroom door. That was a mistake. The first few nights, I didn't notice anything strange, but then I started catching glimpses. Not reflections, not shadows. Glimpses. Just out of frame, just behind me. A hand, a shoulder, a figure stepping around a corner that wasn't there. I thought it was my eyes playing tricks on me, until the reflections stopped matching reality. One night, I got up to use the bathroom. As I passed the mirror, I noticed the hallway in the reflection was longer. At least 2 or 3 feet longer. And there was a door at the end that didn't exist in my apartment. I looked behind me. Nothing. But in the mirror, the door stood slightly open. That same night, I heard scratching coming from inside the wall, like nails. The next morning, the mirror had moved. Not by much, maybe an inch or two to the left. I thought maybe the screws had loosened, but when I tried to adjust it, I noticed something. The back of the mirror had words carved into the wood, hidden behind the frame. Reflects not the world, but what watches from beyond it. I stopped sleeping with the door open after that, but it didn't help. Every time I looked into the mirror, I saw more of that fake hallway. The door in the reflection opened wider, and I swear I started seeing things peeking out. A face, white, boneless, asymmetrical, watching me from a few inches inside that impossible space. Sometimes it looked like me. Sometimes it didn't. Then the dreams started. In every one, I was on the other side of the mirror, standing in a twisted version of my apartment. Everything slightly off, too narrow, too quiet, and always, always that hallway behind me, the door, open wide, and something crawling out of it. I tried to take the mirror down, but the screws wouldn't budge. When I finally cracked the glass with a hammer, it didn't shatter. It bent, like the surface of a pond. Then something tapped back from the other side. 3 slow taps. Tap, tap, tap. That night, I covered the mirror with a blanket and tried to sleep. Around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of fabric tearing. The blanket had fallen to the floor, and in the mirror, I wasn't in bed. I was standing in the hallway, in the reflection, smiling, looking into my own room, looking at me. I haven't looked into that mirror since. I tried moving, I tried smashing it. I even left the apartment. But no matter where I go, I see it. In puddles, in windows, in phone screens. That hallway, that door, and my own reflection, just a little too still, waiting.
After we moved in, my son made a new friend. The problem is, no one else can see him. We moved into the house in late October. It was older, built in the 1940s. Brick exterior, creaky floors, a massive oak tree out front. It had been vacant for years, but the price was right, and my wife loved the kitchen. Our son, Caleb, is 5. Quiet, creative, big imagination. Within the first week, he said something strange. "Daddy, I made a new friend." I smiled. "Yeah? What's his name?" "Thomas. He lives in the closet." I chuckled. Kids, right? We figured it was just his way of adapting to the new place. But Thomas didn't go away. He became a routine. Caleb would set an extra plate at dinner. He'd whisper into the closet before bed. Once, I caught him sitting in the hallway, just staring into the dark. When I asked what he was doing, he said, "Waiting for Thomas to come out." I started checking the baby monitor. Nothing at first. Then, I began to notice glitches. Small flickers in the footage, a shadow that would pass across the frame just behind Caleb, too fast to be explained by headlights or lamps. One night, I was up late in the garage when I heard the monitor crackle. Then, a voice. Not Caleb's. A second, deeper voice. "Tell him I don't like being ignored." I rushed upstairs. Caleb was fast asleep. The closet door was wide open. After that, I started doing research. Found out a boy named Thomas had died in the house in 1979. He was 6. Fell down the stairs, broke his neck. The old papers said the family moved out a month later, and the house changed owners 7 times in the next 40 years. Most left suddenly. No explanations. We tried to ignore it. Until the drawing started. Caleb would bring us pictures, crayon sketches of him and Thomas. But as the days passed, Thomas changed. He got taller, paler. His eyes got darker. His arms got longer. And eventually, Caleb stopped smiling in the pictures. He started drawing himself in bed, with Thomas standing beside him. Then one morning, we found a note, in Caleb's handwriting, but written backwards like he'd written it in a mirror. It said, "He says I have to go soon." That night, the monitor crackled again. I watched as Caleb sat up in bed, turned toward the closet, and whispered, "Okay, I'm ready." I ran into the room. The air was freezing. I grabbed Caleb. He was limp, cold to the touch, eyes open but not blinking. He whispered one thing: "You are not my daddy anymore." We left that house the next day. Didn't pack, didn't sell, just left. Caleb doesn't speak anymore. Not about Thomas. Not about anything. But sometimes, when the lights flicker, he smiles and says he found a new house.